And so I used to do that a lot. I used to say, I'm not a composer because I don't stand in front of the orchestra like Ludwig Göransson, or I don't, I'm not John Williams. I don't have the baton. And when I shifted my mindset, it was probably during the pandemic, and I started calling myself a composer. That's when composer opportunities were coming my way, even though I wasn't, I didn't feel like I was those guys. But I think everyone who turns nothing into something is composing
Yeah,
music, whether
I
that's right
believe
or
that.
wrong, I don't know.
I do.
But
Yeah.
so yeah, change your mindset. We'll wait another 30 seconds and we'll get started. I thank you all for joining. I see some names over here. Divya, Nino, thank you. Shane, thank you for tuning in. Um, we'll get started with the legend Jesse in a few seconds here. And feel free to
Well, speaking
join.
of,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, speaking of me not being a legend, what you said was really interesting, Jennifer, because when I started my YouTube channel, Sync My Music, it was called Music Makes Cash, way many years ago. I was 8 years into the industry, and I also felt like a fraud. I was like, I don't know this business well enough to start a YouTube channel to talk about this business. So that feeling, it kind of never goes away until you just like what Marcus said, you just sort of do it. You just put something together, you call people, you put it on your LinkedIn profile. Yeah, I'm a sync composer. Are
Yeah.
you?
Mhm.
Well, you can label yourself one and then you become one. It's like you just fake it. I really do believe in that fake it till you make it. Just put
Yeah.
yourself out there. You call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. And like you said, people just come in. And I'm now 16, 17 years into the industry. I don't have all the answers. I don't have everything figured out. There's many times where I'm like, whoa, I should have known that by the time I was like, I just learned earlier this year that there's more than three PROs in the US. I didn't know that there was more than ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC. There's actually three or four other ones. No idea, these tiny little ones. So you just learn new stuff all the time. So that feeling of being like a newbie, it doesn't really ever wear off. It's just
Yeah.
always there. So
Okay.
I back up Marcus's advice that yeah, you are what you want to say you are, and eventually
Thank you.
you'll feel like it. Oh, okay, now I got that confidence now that I'm enough in these shoes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm inspired already. I always come away inspired from these Zoom calls, but to be inspired this early on, yeah, I'm
Cool,
set.
cool.
That's
Thanks.
awesome. That's the whole reason why. I mean, we
Yeah.
could end the call right now. Thank you all. But no, just to inspire. Like even when I was in Charlotte this past week with my wife. She was doing an event out there, and I just did an impromptu meetup like a day before. It's like, hey, any musicians in Charlotte want to join like a sync meetup, like here at the hotel in the lounge? And I expected one or two people, and like 10 people showed up. And my wife was like, why did that many people show up? I don't know. I just posted it like in different communities, and I was expecting one or two people, and all I need is one person to show up, have a great conversation. But yeah, when your expectations are exceeded, so sometimes we surprise ourselves. And imposter syndrome, I still have it. I watch interviews with some of these big composers, and they still have it. Like even the biggest, names that you could think of. And they're like, I didn't believe I was working on this project. It was like, yeah, you've scored 100 films, and you still like are surprised. So maybe it's part of being a musician. But I see. Thank you all for joining. We're going to go ahead and get started to not take up too much of all of your time and not take up too much of Jesse's time. For those who don't know, Jesse Josefsson is joining us today. And he is sync legend, a musician who has created a lot of music. He has over 9,000 placements, I think close to 10,000 maybe at this point.
Closing in.
Closing in 10,000. And he's created over the years some great resources, some great communities, shared a lot of knowledge for those specifically interested in the sync space. I've learned a lot just from watching his YouTube channel, attending some of his events virtually, watching some of his courses, his lives. He's reviewed some of my music, gave me some feedback on some of the trailers and sync stuff. And what sparked this conversation is he released a new platform called SyncMatch, which we'll get into, which to me is probably one of the most valuable resources that I've seen for people who are interested in the sync licensing space. I don't want to put it too high on a pedestal, but I mean that's just my opinion. But soon to be fact, I believe. But for those who don't know you, Jesse, if you want to jump in and just do a quick intro of tell them a little bit about your background, who you are, how you got started in sync.
Sure. And thanks so much for having me, Marcus. And it's nice to see all you guys today. Thank you for donating your time today, and hopefully I'll make it worth your while, okay? Um, Cliff Notes version started in sync in 2008 after having many failed bands, and even getting close to getting signed. I had a little production deal with Tyrese Gibson, the, R&B artist and actor, was so close, was meeting with major labels, and then it just all fizzled out. The band broke up, as all bands usually do. And I was sitting there going, well, this sync thing, I kind of stumbled into it, had accidentally, sort of by chance, met a library owner at the time. And he said, yeah, you basically just make cool tracks. You can make whatever music you really want to make, and I'm going to try to help you get some placements. And this guy at that time had 10,000 placements to his name. And he was showing me his royalty statements and showing me how it worked. And I was like, all right, well, what do I got to lose? I want to make music. And if the band isn't going to go anywhere, then maybe this is the way. So just basically was grinding for years and years and years. Very slow going. It took me, I think, 2.5, 3 years to finally see my first royalty, and I think it was 14 cents. It was for a lifetime placement. And even though it was only 14 cents, I felt like I had won the lottery because for me at that moment, it was this like confirmation, this affirmation that the piping had been connected, that my creativity from my mind went through my fingers into my computer, out through the internet, out through my library partners, into an actual TV show, and it aired. The PROs collected on that and sent me a little royalty check. 14 cents, monetarily means nothing, but it meant the world to me that like this dream had been like, again, the piping of all that had come together and it actually was working. So that gave me enough, just confirmation that something was working in the system. And so I just kept plugging away, was making track after track, album after album, a variety of styles of music that I, to this day, wish I hadn't. I wasted a lot of time making music that didn't get placed, wasn't licensable, because I was young, naive, and also I didn't really know what was happening on the TV marketplace. And that's, I think, what brings me here today is to let you guys not make that mistake and to just basically get clarity and get some visibility into the marketplace easily so that you know exactly what's getting placed so you can find out how to fit yourself into where the demand is the highest. And I think that is the smartest approach because time's just running out. We're all getting older. We're all losing time. We all have usually limited time with our other family and work obligations to make music. So it makes sense to just make the most licensable and the most in-demand music you can possibly do that based on where the marketplace is right now. So anyways, you fast forward, I think it was, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years, I started to see my royalty checks grow to the point where I could rely on them to pay most of my bills. A couple years more, it was like paying all of my bills. And so really sync licensing is what got me out of the 9 to 5 work world. I had plenty of horrible, just very, cubicle jobs, no windows, startup companies, working for, bosses and managers I didn't respect and working for companies I didn't even believe in their mission. I didn't think they had any chance of doing what they said they were going to try to do. So it was just kind of this a little bit of spite, a little bit of I think I can do this for myself, and kind of desperate basically. I was desperate to not go get another job. That was kind of my promise to myself. I don't care if I'm mopping floors, cleaning toilets, mowing lawns. I'll do anything other than work for somebody else. I just want to work for myself. And so for me, Sync was that kind of open door. I saw a little bit of promise early on and then just was grinding for years and years and years and years to the point where it turned into my full-time focus and kept me away from my day job. Fast forward to 2016, as I mentioned just a little while ago, I decided, you know what, I'm getting lots of questions. A lot of my former bandmates and colleagues and just people that I knew in the LA area were always like, hey man, like I'm struggling. I know you did that sync thing. Is that still working out for you? Maybe I can get into that. How do you get into that? So I just saw there was a big need out there for musicians, producers to know about sync, how to get started. I did a little quick search online at the time. There was a lot of bad information online. It was just very vague, not very helpful. It wasn't very practical. So I said, man, maybe I'll be the guy that can go on the internet and start talking to people directly about here's what works, here's what doesn't work, or at least here's what I've seen work in my career. Here's the reality of how long it takes to see, your royalties build up. Here's what working with a library really feels like. Here's how tight the deadlines are. Here's how thankless it can feel at some point. Here's how amazing it can feel at some point, just to give that honest firsthand kind of journalistic experience of like, this is really what this industry is about. And it's not that I read a book about it and wrote a blog, or I watched somebody's video course about it and then went out and wrote it. I actually lived the thing and I actually did the thing. I was in the trenches. So that's when I launched my YouTube channel, a variety of other kind of platform services I've launched since then. But most recently, I did come up with an idea I wish I came up with and had the talent or the skills to do in 2008, which is SyncMatch. SyncMatch is essentially, for the first time, allowing sync licensing producers, artists, anybody who wants to get sync placements. It's opening up the curtain so you can see what's getting placed on I would call them the top 20 US TV channels in terms of what genres are getting placed, what moods get placed, which production music libraries are supplying those tracks, which TV shows are they happening on, which channels are they happening on. And most importantly, allowing you to upload some of your music to the database and getting matched. And so we can tell you, hey, based on what we've detected for the previous month, it looks like you're making, for example, hip hop music with this mood. Here are the tracks that are getting placed that are close to yours using similar tags. And then here are the libraries that have gotten tracks placed in your genre the most in the last 30 days. So it's giving you clear, direct visibility into where the market is, what's getting placed, and most importantly for all of you guys here on this call, and maybe you watch the replay, where you individually fit in. So which libraries you should maybe do some more research on, and also which tracks you should maybe use as inspiration, as a source, as a guide for making your music more in demand, more licensable. The one thing I was telling Marcus before we got started is that had I had an app like this in 2008, I would have never made albums like slow down tempo trip hop or a lot of dubstep music. That wouldn't have been a smart idea, and it still isn't a smart idea right now. There's certain types of electronic music that get placed quite a bit. There's a lot that doesn't. I probably wouldn't have done a lot of lo-fi music. I probably would, there's a lot of things we can talk about in today, but I'm primarily a rock producer. I do a little bit of EDM, a little bit electronic, maybe some corporate as well. Those are kind of the three areas that I sort of do most of my work in. And with rock, there's basically two styles of music that get placed the most. And we can talk about what those styles are. And I wasted a lot of time making music that weren't in those two styles. So that's one thing I would have done very differently from the very beginning. I would have said, hey, I want to do rock, but I don't want to just do any rock. I want to do the rock that's flying off the shelf, getting into multiple TV shows, multiple TV channels. What styles of rock really are in demand and gets placed over and over again? Because you got to realize most editors, supervisors, maybe not so much all supervisors, but I'd say most music editors, people that usually are going to place library music, production music, I think most of you guys here are probably interested in getting some of those placements. They're not necessarily in being quote unquote creative and making outside of the box choices and really standing out. They're usually not getting awards for their musical choices on a reality show or on a sports network. There's really no awards for that. They just need something that works. They need something that they can get access to quickly, easily, and something that they know will work over and over again for a variety of episodes they have to edit or a variety of sporting events that they're going to do maybe some live broadcasting on. So they don't need to research and do a bunch of deep digging every time they're going to do something. They just want to find something that works, something that has a familiar enough sound that they know that the audience will connect with and that it'll work under the dialogue or under the, whatever. And they're just going to basically put you on a short list, on a playlist, and they're going to just basically throw your track into everything. And as well, I can show you guys here in a little bit, that plays out in the data. That there's going to be a handful of tracks that are getting hundreds, maybe sometimes even thousands of placements every single month. So I want all of you guys to have a clear, direct path to be that producer that's getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of placements. So it's possible. It's not easy. It can take time for sure. But I don't know if there's a better way to do it than using this data and hopefully using the SyncMatch app. So let me know how you want to get started with this. If you want to do Q&A first, or if you want me to give you guys a quick presentation, but let me know, Marcus.
Yeah, let's jump. If anyone has any questions just off of what you're hearing, feel free to either come off mute. This is recorded, so if you are comfortable being on camera or having your voice recorded, or if you want to drop in the chat or Q&A, I'll also be looking there. Let's do it this way. Let's see, Claudio has a question first. Is there a way to correct the auto tags that SyncMatch creates if we don't agree with them?
It's a great question, Claudio, and it's one of the challenges that we're still ironing out, and we're going to be continually improving. So we use Cyanite to tag your tracks. So if you guys are not familiar, Cyanite is basically the industry, it might be the world leader in terms of the most accurate tagging model. I think them and Ames sort of are battling it out. But I've tested them all, and I will tell you that Cyanite is the most accurate model. That does not mean it's perfect. There is no such thing as perfect auto tagging, perfect software, perfect AI models. That doesn't exist. So it can get things wrong. It can sometimes say that there are vocals in your track when there's not. But what I would say is the tags that are the most important on our platform are your genre and your mood. So Claudio, it sounds like maybe you're already on the platform. If you feel that the genre and the mood are off, that would definitely give you incorrect tags in terms of, or incorrect matches in terms of the libraries and the tracks that would be similar to yours. If you feel like it got your genre and your mood right, which I think for maybe 98% of our users, it's getting that right, then you're getting the right matches. So it might say that there's a vocal when there's not. That's not affecting your matches though at all. Okay, so it's not going to say, your track has vocals and it's going to point you to a bunch of vocal tracks. Our matching system right now is not, it's sort of agnostic whether or not your track is instrumental or vocal. It's really just looking at your genre that you're producing in, and your mood. Those are the two primary tags it's going to use to search through our database to find their most appropriate matches. So if you disagree with these tags, but you want to use some of the metadata for your own purposes, it's your data. You can wipe them out. You can replace it. It's literally all of you. And you can email yourself the results if you want to do that. So it's totally up to you if you want to ignore them and say, well, I totally got that right or wrong. Absolutely do that. But in terms of, I think what you're maybe getting at is getting better results. Just know that if the genre and the mood feel about right to you, then you are getting the accurate results. Hopefully that's clear.
Yep, yep. Carolyn Mill asks, does Disco use Cyanide for auto tagging? I don't know if you know about this one.
I don't think they do. I think they have their own model because I have had members use Disco to upload tracks and use my platform and have actually sent
It's
me
different.
side-by-side comparisons, and they are different. So usually if you're using the same model, it would be across the board identical. I don't have confirmation
Yep.
on that, but from what I would guess from what the data or the evidence I've seen, and I think they have their own, or they're
Yep.
hiring somebody else. It could be Ames.
Yep.
I'm not sure. So
Yeah, or they created something custom for Disco's needs. I wouldn't be surprised if they're all sort of working. Jennifer asked a great question. Do you apply to join SyncMatch?
there's no application. It is a paid app though, so you do need to pay. We have 3 membership area options for you guys. I talked to Marcus before we went live here. For your guys' group only, I am going to give you guys access to my founders rates, so that my discounted rates, lower rates that I only previously offered to my current community, my Sync Academy members. But I'm going to give you that to you guys for 3 days, so up until Friday. If you guys do want to join, there's 3 membership options. We can get into what those are. So it's no application. Anybody can join. Anybody can sign up. And I try to keep our prices as low as possible because I do think that like everybody should get access to this. But at the same time, this data is not cheap to come by, and using an AI tagging model and all the other little bits of technology I've kind of plugged into this centralized platform, it all adds up at the end of the month. And so it's been the most expensive platform I've ever built. So I've been trying to, it's a balance. It's always like, it'd be great to have a free tier, but I just don't know if I'd be able to keep this thing running if we had a free tier. So, but the basic is $9.99 a month. So it's the cheapest I could possibly make it so that you can see for yourself and directly see all the tracks that are getting placed that we're detecting on these 20 channels. So you can at least be up to date on what's happening in your particular genre.
Yeah, and it's really a great price. And Claudio, one more question, and then we'll go to sort of the screen share. Are the tracks we submit to SyncMatch also being used to train the AI?
Absolutely not. And it's a great question. I put that right front and center on my website, and I want to make sure I'm very clear on that. As you guys know, some of you, I don't know, maybe you don't know. I was one of the prominent voices in 2023 and 2024 pushing back against Suno and Udio, training off of what sounds like basically most of Spotify. I don't know what they've trained on, but it seems like that's what they did. I put out a couple of videos exposing some of the things they did, and even one of my videos was referenced in that major label lawsuit against Suno, or was it? I think it was Udio actually. So I'm kind of in the game, and I've planted my flag clearly on the side of artists and composers. You got to come ask permission for us. You got to compensate us. We've got value here. We've got value in our data and our music. So absolutely not. So we use Cyanide, as I said before, to train our model, and I've definitely had extensive conversations with Cyanide about, are you using our music to train anything? They've assured me no, and they actually have a really good reason for it. They said, well, if we even wanted to start training off of whatever music came into our database, it would throw off our model because their model was trained on music that they licensed and that they wanted to make sure that it was exactly contained for what they wanted to have the accuracy. So it would actually dilute and weaken their model if they just had whoever's music, especially through SyncMatch, coming into their platform and altering theirs. So they don't train off of our music, and I was very, very clear on that. I will only use you guys if there's no unauthorized training and there's no generative purpose for that. So, and I've taken it one step further to be very protective of your guys' data. So what happens is, let's say you upload a track to the app in 5 minutes, you guys get your results. We keep those results active and prominent and displayed in your account for 30 days. So at the end of the month, we wipe all of the results. So results. 2 reasons for that. One, I don't want to have well, I guess the first reason would be this is dynamic data. So every 30 days we update, in a second I'll show you guys how the app looks. So every 30 days you're going to see new tracks, new placements, new libraries, all new data, okay? Because what we're doing is we're looking for the last previous completed month. So right now on the app, you're going to see what happened in June. And so the results you get are basically determined by what happened in our industry just, 30 to basically, I guess it could be, 1 to 30 days ago, or maybe 60 days ago, I guess. So you're going to see very relevant data. But when the next month comes, we have all new data, maybe all new libraries, all new information coming at you. So your results are going to be changed as well. So whatever you see on the app is no longer applicable based on what you uploaded. So it's dynamic. So we basically, first of all, need to clear the slate. So if you want to upload new tracks and get new data and get new matches and find out, hey, what's happening in the marketplace now, you can get that. But secondly, I didn't want to have the liability hanging over my head to have, we've already had at least 3,000 probably tracks uploaded to the TagMatch feature. And that's a rich amount of data. And that's got music, it's got MP3 files, it's got, metadata tags, it's got track descriptions, it's got a lot of very valuable stuff. And it's private. It's obviously on a private Google Sheet. It's on a private Google Drive. But there's nefarious people out there. Something could happen. Somebody could get hacked. I could get hacked. And I just didn't want to I don't want to be sitting on a hard drive with that much valuable data with your guys' valuable data on it. So on the first of every month, I just wipe that sucker clear. I don't want any data in there. I don't want any music in there. I don't want any metadata because I don't want to have even the chance of a liability of some generative AI model or whatever, somebody coming in there and training off of your music. So I take that stuff very seriously. I might be even over aggressively protective of our music.
Yeah, yeah. And being a force, even fighting against AI, it's showing, for those who don't know, I think Jesse was the first video, probably the only video, where he actually revealed that the way he found this AI sort of loophole, that some of the producer tags, he was able to use AI to regenerate producer tags, whatever your favorite producer, insert name here. And that was sort of evidence that they have been training these songs on these, the AI has been training on songs that have been released by actual record labels. And that was quoted in that case. I'm going to share, we'll get to some more of those questions in a little bit. I'm going to share my screen first and show you how an amateur who didn't build the app would use the app.
Sure.
And then
That'd
we'll
be good
jump
for me to
over to
watch.
Jesse's, the pro version. Let's see. So let me know if you see the SyncMatch screen here.
Yep.
And let me see if I get my chat open. Move that over. Cool. So this is sort of, I'll show you the value that I get from it. Everyone may use it differently, but depending on the tier that you're at, and I believe that was one of the questions. If you're on the light tier, I don't know the names of the tiers, but you get 1 upload credit per month, but you still have access to the other sections of SyncMatch. On the pro tier, you get 10 credits, and I believe is the next one where you get 15.
So let me get that. Yeah,
correct me
going
on
back to
that.
basic. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, basically you get 1 trial TagMatch credit, and this is the question. And that does not renew every single month. So I want to make sure I'm clear on that. Some people do get confused. I'm trying to make that clear on the website and every time I talk about it, that it's not like you get 1 track every month to upload. You basically get to sign up. $9.99 will get you all the data that maybe Marcus will show in a second here, all the tracks and libraries, contact information, and all the placement data that we give you guys. But you get to basically have 1 trial upload to upload 1 of your tracks to this TagMatch part of the website. The idea for that is that I want everybody to give it a shot. I didn't want to like only the premium or the pro members to be able to try this out. So everybody gets to at least try it out for one track that you got. And the idea is that if you upload a track, you get results and you go, wow, that's actually really helpful. These are interesting libraries maybe I hadn't heard about, or I didn't know that these are libraries that are placing my style of music. This is going to be kind of useful for me. And also the other, benefits that you get with your results is we give you some suggested sync titles, which could be helpful for getting your tracks placed more, a track description, and obviously all the metadata tags that you can take at your discretion if you'd like to, and including we can generate for you a submission email. So if you need something to just get you started on pitching to these companies, pretty much give you everything you need to sort of, you just got to click the send button, but we sort of get you down the road. So if you like that and you want to actually upload new tracks every single month, then the next step up would be that premium option. That's what you guys can do, again, only on this call for the next couple of days. That's $14.99 a month. So basically $5 more, and you can upload 5 tracks every single month. So that gives you a sense of, if you have a couple of different styles of you're working on, or you're constantly changing and updating your style and improving it. It just keeps you up to date on like what are the most active libraries. Maybe you find month after month the same library keeps popping up, and that gives you confirmation of like, okay, these are the 3 or 4 libraries I should be looking at because they keep showing up in my results. That can be really useful. And if you feel you need more, we have the pro option, and that's going to be $17.99, basically $3 on top of that. And you can do 10 tracks per month. So that's where we're capping it right now. I know some members wanted more. Again, it's just, I would love to just give unlimited and, free. I'd love to do all that kind of stuff, but all of this, every time a track is uploaded and tagged, that costs something. Every time we are basically matching you guys, that like all of the stuff behind the scenes, kind of how the sausage is made, it's all very technical and it does cost money. So we have to make sure that we're trying to price this in a way that, you know, the most amount of producers can get access to this, but also we can sustain this and keep growing. Because my goal, and so far we have been really successful with that, is we started with just 10 channels a couple months ago. I basically only had 10 channels because, like I said, it's very expensive data to get a hold of this stuff. And I had sort of an early launch with my members, and it just the amount of people that jumped onto the platform early and took advantage of these early rates blew me away. It was really humbling, really cool. And that gave me immediate confirmation of like, okay, I'm doubling down. Let's just add more data to this. For me, I'm sort of like, I want to pace myself to basically keep adding to the database as our user base grows. So it's kind of one of these things where, you know, I can't obviously make promises about the future, but I can show you that we started with 10, we're now at 20. I've already got, you know, kind of plans in place to basically expand to have even more data. So that's what we're trying to do here with these pricing models and for these features.
So I'll go over sort of what I did literally this morning. You can see some of I uploaded a couple songs earlier this morning, more like hip hop stuff. This is more of a cinematic hip hop holiday, which is I'm in the mode for. If you are worried about trends, that's a good trend to jump on right now. And it takes about, I would say, 5 minutes, maybe a little less, and you'll get an email to say, hey, it's been uploaded, it's been tag matched, and now I can go into the results and click on the actual song. So I'm gonna go to choose one of these, like hip hop. I'll play.
Woke up feeling like money. Hey, I woke up feeling like money. They favors just to get your mind right. Promise is the usual. That's when you.
So it's like hip hop, trap. That's what I label it, and the tags are pretty spot on. One thing that this has taught me is I would tend to throw in like a lot of moods with coming from the disco side of things, where you have like hundreds of tag options. I really like the sort of scaled back approach of like 5 or less. You know, 5 genres, 5 moods, 5 instruments, and that approach is also less jarring for when you send it out. Instead of them saying 100 different tags, you know, they send 5, you know, per tag option. So hip hop, trap, some moods there. It detected the male vocal, movement stopping. Whether or not that was really stopping, I don't know. But again, I like that it's trying to detect something there. And then the management's advanced moods, character tags. And then the other part of it down here is where even more value. It gives you some sync-friendly track titles, like sounds like these. But then it also—
I think it's giving you the wrong, that's what I want to check out.
This one right here, you think those are wrong?
That's definitely not yours, so I have to look at that one.
I
Sorry
didn't
about
click
that.
on them.
No, it's not you. That's me.
It's trying, so I like it. And I also like the track descriptions. Sometimes my descriptions get kind of long. So I like that it's sort of paring down. It's helping me to sort of focus in on, even if I do things on disco, like maybe I need to pare it down to just 1 or 2 lines, 1 or 2 sentences. And then the magic behind the tag match feature. It tells you the number of shows that use this sort of hip hop trap genre. They're suggesting that use it in comedy. And then the libraries, it'll tell you, hey, these are track titles that were used. If you want to listen to them in Spotify or open up a browser, I won't open those now. But then I can see Extreme Music or Sesame, which I think is in France. First column, Argyle, Sonaton, which is, I believe, in Germany. And it gives you these libraries that are placing your music. The channels there, the list of 20 channels that Jesse has in his catalog here, and more to be added. But it'll tell you what channels that style of music is using on, the top place tracks using your genre and moods, the trap tense. So there's a lot just on this page here. This right here is like, this is worth the, 15, 17 a month alone. And I haven't even got to the other areas yet. I won't go too far deep unless you guys have any questions here. But the one thing that I want to touch on is this part here, where you can reach out to the libraries directly, and you can contact them. If you click on the contact, it'll give you some of that library specific data. So genres, whether they're using vocal, if it's male vocal, female vocal. I've had some people actually ask me about like non-binary. In the sync space, it's still pretty much male or female. There are those rare instances where they might ask for someone who identifies as LGBTQIA or some other thing, but right now it's pretty much male or female. The tempos, instruments, this is all just for that one library. Let me go back down here. I'm gonna try to get to some of the other pages. I'm moving really fast, and Jesse can dive in more on the back end of things. You can now see the data for last month. June. Again, this is 13,000 placements detected on those 20 channels. You can see the channels listed there, and the most placed tracks. So you can click to listen and say, hey, I think I can make something like this, or I have stuff already like this. Maybe I can find out the libraries that are using them. And then the different styles, EDM, orchestral, powerful. We'll get to the mood shortly. And the most active channel, CBS, which is actually surprising in the summertime. They're really active during the sports season. But a lot of insight here that I think if I had this even 3 years ago, I would be in a totally different spot right now. Most place moves, most place tempos, a lot of analytics and data that you can dive into for those who like data. And you can see, hey, maybe you make bluegrass country folk. And you can see how those line up in those acoustic styles. Again, I'm moving really fast here. You can also watch the replay here in slow motion. Then we have a list of 3 pages of genres. I think the 4th page has one on there, but there's a lot of genres here on here. You can see them here. They're in alphabetical order. So if you were to click on one, so for example, alternative hip hop, you can now see the top placed tracks in that genre. You can listen to them without having to, copy it and type it into YouTube or Spotify. You can just click the link. You can see the library that used it, and you can contact the person from that company. I mean, just to find the contact alone at a company without having to go to this website and type, it's all built in here. It's saving you hours of work, days of work, saving you a lot of mental, gymnastics. So you can dive in on the genres. I'll show more of them here. I won't click on all of them. If you do click on them, you can dive in and see some of the top categories there. And the last one is UK crime. And then below you see the moods. So maybe you think your music is dramatic or energetic or exciting or happy. You can dive in on there. Then we get to the libraries. Probably a lot of people are like, what libraries do I want to work with? Or what libraries work in the music I listen to or I create? The great thing about this, yes, you can go to, I've seen people go to like ChatGPT, type in, sync libraries to get a chart. I've seen people go to Google or whatever. And the thing about that is you're getting a list of libraries ever in existence. With this one, you're getting a list of libraries who have placements over the last month. So it's like, sometimes you're like, I want to work with a library, but they haven't had a placement in 6 months. It's like, do you really want to work with them? Do they work in your genre? In this case, you have 11 pages of libraries and publishers to choose from. Some of them, obviously, like Warner Chappell Production Music, will have more of the sub libraries. So some of these libraries may be under Warner Chappell, but again, this is a resource that we've never had before, and glad to have it now. All right, I'm gonna keep going. 2 more categories, TV shows. So you can start seeing 48 Hours had over 1,600 placements. This is just last month. Ridiculousness. The Golden Girls, which must be syndication because I don't know if they have a new Golden Girls series out, but you can start doing research if you want to dive down that rabbit hole. Maybe you're like, I want to get a placement on the Golden Show. Catfish, I have a lot of placements on Catfish. From a library that I.
And if I can jump in real quick, the reason why you might see some of these, legacy shows or whatever, right now in our data, again, this is one of those things we want to continue adding and making better. Right now, we can just tell you what TV show was slotted during when the track aired. So some of these placements, probably I would imagine a lot of these placements are going to be commercial ones for the Golden Girls because that was a much older show. I don't know if they were using production music back then. Maybe they were. But basically what you'll find is that some of these are placed during the show. Others are placed as a commercial or a promo. So just want to let you guys know that just because it says Golden Girls doesn't mean that every single one of these was placed during a Golden Girls or whatever the TV show says.
Yeah, actually, that's good context because also for some of these legacy shows, if they did have agreements, they might have had music in an episode that wasn't cleared to be used now on Netflix or one of these other channels that are in SyncMatch. So now they had to license new music for the syndicated show. So they might see new music in these shows. So having that context and knowing that, you can sort of dive in deeper. But there's a lot of shows here. These are 10 pages of TV shows. And then you have the channels themselves. Again, 20 channels. Right now, all, Jesse can correct me if I'm wrong, all US only channels, more to be added, both in the US and international. I don't know streaming if this data is available for like the Netflixes of the world.
Nope. Yeah, right now nobody provides that data. Netflix holds onto that data like it is gold. They won't share any of that. So I got somebody on the inside. Maybe we're working on it. See if we can get a deal. It's a long shot. I'm not going to make any promises. But no, right now I had to start with the data I could get my hands on, and I think the US TV marketplace is a great place to get sample data from to go, where is the industry? Most of you here would feel great and excited to get, I think, placements on a US TV channel, especially one of these 20. These ones have basically a lot of high quality, new original content. They have high ratings. So that's why they were selected. I wanted to also cover a broad range of different types of content. So we have everything from like Nickelodeon to sports, to news, to the major networks. We wanted to make sure that we're kind of whatever you guys produce, whatever type of content you would be excited to get placements for, we're sampling it. We're basically keeping an eye on what's happening. Of course, be very clear, this is not a comprehensive 360 every production track that gets placed all over cable. There's hundreds of cable channels. We're not doing all that. Again, this is very expensive data. I want to scale it up, but I also need to be very mindful of like how much sampling is useful versus how much is overkill and it's going to just drown us in expenses or whatever. So we're kind of always playing with those considerations. But yeah, what I would like to get into, of course, and when I can, I will announce it, is streaming is first. Second would be video games, and I think there are some ways that we could find out what's getting placed in new indie and major indie video games. Video games it dwarfs the entertainment industry in terms of TV and film. And we need to be taking that industry much more seriously. So I'm also looking at sort of expanding into the next generation of content, not just looking at, traditional broadcast TV, which we all know is kind of a dwindling medium at this point. So,
yeah. And with all that data, as Jesse mentioned, that does come with that extra cost of having that data analyzed and input into the system. So definitely take advantage over the next 3 days of the founders rate and just lock in. And one other thing, and then I'll let Jesse share from his side of things. I know I'm forgetting like a million other things. Just typing in on one of these channels, CBS, which had the most track placements last month. If I were to scroll down here and I'm like, hey, I want to submit stuff to CBS, but I see the most valuable other than the moods and the instruments, electric guitars. So I'm thinking more of the rock, exciting, powerful. I'm thinking more tempo between, let's say, 80 and 150-ish. Those two are taking over. A minor, probably because it's all white keys and easier to play, despite what you hear Kendrick say. And then they like instrumentals. So this one right here, I see like all of this red. That means it's instrumental. They have a little bit of vocal. I probably wouldn't send vocal stuff to CBS. Like I said, they're probably doing a lot of sports things, maybe some college things, summer season stuff. But if you do vocals, then you want to make sure it's mostly male vocals. But I probably wouldn't even, or of course, whatever you send stuff in, make sure you're sending in the instrumental as well. I know I missed a bunch of stuff, especially the emailing libraries, but I'm going to stop the share. The other things on here is the account settings, which I will show, and then the about help section. But I want Jesse to show more of the back end from the system. And let me make sure you can share.
Looks like I can. I see the share button there. Yeah. Awesome. Well, man, you kind of did my job. So I think I'm done. No, I'll show you guys a little bit more. But Claudio, I haven't heard of SoundAware. I just copied and pasted them. Thank you. I'm always looking. I just found another one the other day that does some detection as well. So it's an interesting space where you're always trying to find some new, cool, interesting places to get data. So thank you for the suggestion. I will definitely look into that. Let me go ahead and share my screen, show you guys.
Yeah, and Claudio, BMAT is a great one. So what I do want to say is you can use this in sort of tandem with some of those other resources like TuneFind and things like that. If you want to know a specific season that a song was on, a specific show, you can try TuneFind for that. But what those platforms do not do is they do not sort of analyze your music and sort of pair your music and say, hey, your song can also work on this show or this episode or this season. And this dives in deeper. Obviously, those platforms don't do the graph and the colors and have the breakdown like this. And at this price point, this data is, I think I said it, full disclosure, I was a beta tester on this, but even then, that was even before half of this data literally didn't exist. It was only 10 channels at the time. I told Jesse on one of his videos, like, hey, this is literally a game changer. And I still believe that, and I think it's only going to improve from here.
Cool, man. I appreciate that. And yeah, I want to make sure I'm clear. This is not a replacement for TuneSet or BMAT or any of the services where you upload your music and they show you where you get placements. So this would not be useful for that. If you upload a track, we're not going to show you, oh yeah, you got placements. That we don't detect you. We're not monitoring your music for TV placements. This is basically just monitoring what's already happened on TV. and then putting it here. If you happen to get placements last month, you might show up, some of your tracks might show up here because we're detecting everybody. But yeah, it's not a tool for that. It's really more of a industry trend detector and also market research insights, kind of what Marcus basically just described. So I just want to show basically probably two extremely powerful use cases for this to save you guys tons of time and also get you closer to making music, like I said, that won't just sit on the shelf collecting digital dust. Will actually fly off the shelf, hopefully with the right partners, and get you placements. I can't give you any guarantees that will happen, but I can tell you without this data, it's much more of a hope and a prayer, and you kind of do your best research looking at a library's website. Kind of looks like they do something like me. And the one tricky thing with libraries is that they will often, if you have good music, but they don't place it often, they will still tell you, yeah, we love it. Let's take it. They'll sign you a deal. And so you might get this mistaken belief that, oh, well, I'm going to get placement soon because they love it and they accepted me right off the bat. But libraries, you got to remember that they have thousands of tracks and they just need some of their tracks to get placed. They will win whether or not your tracks get placed or Marcus's tracks get placed or my tracks get placed. They're all represented under their catalog, assuming that we're all working for the same catalog. So they might take your music because they know at some point, maybe some client might need it, right? Or maybe they did get a demand. They got a request for your type of music 6 months ago. They didn't have it. Now you come along and they go, oh, yes, we'd love to have your music. But you don't want to be the producer sending music that maybe in 6 months or a year or 5 years is useful for somebody somewhere down the line. That's putting yourself on the edges of the demand curve, and you don't want to be there. You want to be in the center. You want to be at, I just call it the buffet, where the masses are coming to eat, where they love it. You want to be putting your product right there in front of them. So this is what can help you do that very, very quickly, okay? So these are just some test tracks that I was uploading just to try it out. And I guess I can just play a little bit. I don't think that was the one I wanted to do first. Let me see if I can find. Was it Top Dog? I think it was the hip hop one. Yeah, so Top Dog one. You guys can hear that okay? Just a hip hop track. All right, so there you go. Obviously, we got hip hop. It's getting that. It's got a powerful mood. All the other things that that Marcus was talking about up before. So this one definitely feels a little bit more like the actual track title. So I don't know. I'll have to look into yours, Marcus. I think yours got confused with somebody else. So we're still working out some kinks. I want to let you guys know it's a very, very well run app, but we occasionally still run into problems. But this is a little bit more accurate for what you should see. The reason why this is a really useful one is so a lot of producers I have found spend a lot of time making music, and then when it comes down to creating a very marketable title, they just skimp on it. They don't really know what to do, and it just turns into like, hip hop track 3 or feeling really powerful. It's just not as it doesn't evoke an imagery. It doesn't really evoke curiosity. And so this can just help you. If you need some help, you can combine these, you can use them in conjunction with what you've already got, whatever you want to do. And of course, we've got the track description, which can be useful for you. We already talked about how many shows your track can be used for. If this number is high, above, I'd say 30 or 40, you're in pretty good shape, meaning there's a lot of different TV shows that are using your style of music, and you're probably making something that could be high in demand and get you many different types of placements. If you see under 20 and especially under 10, I would second guess what you're producing because, yeah, you could, again, get a couple of placements, but do you want to just get a couple of placements or do you want to get a large number of placements, right? So these are going to be first all the tracks that are in your particular main genre. One of the most powerful things about this app is, of course, you can listen to the track in full. So you guys heard that one. If you listen to this Empire State track, you guys hear that too? So that's obviously that New York, kind of Jay-Z sound or whatever. And so that lets you know that like, okay, so my track, maybe it's a little bit darker than what's going on there. So if I wanted to make something that was extremely high in demand, this is kind of an approach and a style that really actually works well. So that might be something you kind of pay attention to for in terms of where you want to start taking your music. You can also listen to a snippet though of the track. Now these ones, this is part of the app that we're still improving. Some of these aren't available. I'd say 75% of them are. And when you click on it,
once again, a year's supply of Goya. Keep watching. That's all next.
So that little snippet right there tells you that this track was used as sort of like a stinger, right? It's coming out of a show going into commercial break. So you can kind of hear from these tracks how they're used. Is it in a commercial? Is it in a scene? Is it, is it in a promo? Is it going out of a show into a commercial, coming back from a commercial into a show? just gives you some insight as to where this kind of music would be useful. As Marcus was saying, these are going to be the reference tracks you really want to study. You really want to potentially model your music after, because they're telling you, that Empire State one we already heard before, it's hip hop and it's powerful. So it's close to your track because this track was hip hop and it was powerful. Okay, so it's getting more targeted toward exactly what you're doing. But you can click on any one of these, and the cool thing is, here's a second track. Okay, so we got that little bit of a vibe there. What's really cool about this as well is you usually are going to land on an album. You're not just going to land on one track. So every single one of these Spotify links, you click on this, well, this is a whole series of really high quality production music you can also use. But again, I would definitely use the ones that show up in our data, because they have actually were the ones that we could show and prove they were placed. Maybe these other tracks on that playlist did get placed, but they didn't get placed on those 20 channels, at least on the ones that we were detecting. Okay. Then the next part that will be really helpful for you guys is learning how to predict pitch and what music to pitch to a particular library. So for this one, we give you 5 libraries. These are selected basically because these are the libraries that placed your particular genre of mood the most in the last data dump, the last data update that we had. And we basically sort out and filter out the one that had the most. So extreme music obviously was placing the most amount of hip hop trap music essentially for the previous month. We do give you their contact information, their website if you want to do deeper digging. But when you click on it, you can also get a sense of what kind of music are they getting placed, what's proven to fly off their shelf, okay? So obviously, as you can see, they do a lot of orchestral as well. They do electro pop, classical, indie. So if you do a couple of other genres, and maybe there's some other styles of music you're interested in, this could give you an indication of what you want to potentially look at, pitch to them if you want to, do some more research on their website. As Marcus was saying, this is a really powerful part of it. If you're like, well, I could do instrumental, but I could also do some vocals. I'm a vocalist as well. Should I do one or the other? Extreme music is kind of split in the middle right now in terms of what placements they're getting. You should probably go, whoops, to either one. Sorry, my camera's a little bit rigged on top of my screen right there. Oops, get it right. We'll get it right. There's that a little bit better. Okay. And also if it's male or female gender in terms of who you want to use for the vocal styling you want to go for, which tempo you should be aiming at, et cetera, which instruments maybe you should be focusing more on. That can really help target the exact kind of music you want to pitch off to libraries like Extreme Music or whoever you get paired with. It's really valuable insights to know what's really standing out. This is the only other use case I'll do, and then I'll be quiet and I'll go to your questions if you guys have any. Obviously, this is the library tab. As Marcus said, this is all the libraries that we detected for the previous month. Let me get this out of the way so I can actually see. There you go. So yeah, we have up to 11 pages basically of different libraries. Some that only had one placement that we detected, all the way up to those, basically Extreme Music is kind of taking the cake most months with over 2,000 placements we detected. But you can click on any one of these. You can listen to the tracks that library got placed, find out some more insights as to what's kind of flying off their shelf for the previous month, and all that good stuff. But here's the game-changing part about this tab. If you want to basically find out, I mean, you can upload your music and we do this research for you, but if you don't, like we have the basic plan where it's $9.99 a month and you get access to all of this data, you can basically just click on this filter tab and basically type in, or click rather, select which style of music that you do, that you really focus on. So let's say it's, I don't know, funk music or something like that. All you're going to be left with are the libraries that have gotten placements with funk. Okay, so basically just shortens down your research quite a bit. Rather than going through hundreds of different libraries, going through all their different websites, it's going to basically narrow it down to just the libraries like indie rock or whatever that have gotten indie rock placements. So it really does sort of help narrow down your world, where you want to potentially fit in, and where you want to get placed. I think that's kind of the main overall benefit of this. We are going to be adding, as more months go on, we are going to be refining our historical trends. Some of us want to know, I definitely want to know, is 80s pop getting more popular, less popular? Well, it's staying about the same. It's not really sort of climbing the charts yet, okay? Is electro pop climbing or not? Well, in the last month, it really took a big jump up, so that might give you an indication, some confirmation of like, all right, if I'm going to go electro pop, that could be kind of something promising moving forward. I also have some cool ideas for, I had a buddy actually that gave me this idea. He said you should go get the top 100 vocal tracks that got placed maybe in a quarter or maybe in a year, analyze their lyrics and pull out common themes, common lyrics, common words even that were basically placed the most in the previous year. So we can give you maybe some end of the year insights and analytics and data in terms of if you're going to do vocals, if you're going to do songs, for vocals, here are the song topics, here are the specific words or the lyrics or the things that usually get placed. And what you guys will find in this business is that supervisors or editors sometimes will actually type in lyrics that they actually want to, find a particular song about a particular topic, they'll type in lyrics that will actually kind of shortlist their search results. So you want to make sure that everything you're doing is based on the data of what's actually getting placed. So we have some ambitious goals for, again, more data, more insights, but that's enough for me. I'll go ahead and stop the share now. If you guys have any questions, I will
I got a quick comment in there. Another sort of way to use this platform I was just thinking about, because I was a little bit hesitant other than the beta testing about using SyncMatch, because I'm like, I work with a lot of companies that are just asking me to make albums for them, music for them. But even going through it today, just realizing like, hey, I can go to SyncMatch, go to the pop genre and see what's being placed, 20, 30, 40, 50 times a month, and try to sort of capture the essence of that in the projects that I'm making for the Sync library. So you can also use these as references if you're already involved in Sync and you're working with libraries and like, hey, can you give us a orchestral album this month? And just need to know what's really getting placed, because everything that's released that you might hear, albums and things from Sync libraries, that doesn't mean they're getting placed. But now you have the actual, hey, here's the top, 10 orchestral pieces that have been placed over the last month. And maybe you can use that data to sort of inform the direction you lead for the projects you're working on. So there's so many ways to use this. I think each of us will use it differently. We'll find our ways to use it. And I don't even think, actually, Jesse, if you wouldn't mind sharing the one side of how you can send your music to the Sync library, the email.
Oh yeah.
The email pitch.
Yeah, let me go ahead and share that again. We can generate for that for you guys. So in your results, when you guys upload a track, you go check out your results. You basically, first of all, you can email yourself these results. Like I said, we wipe these off the server every month. So if you want to have long-term storage of all of this data, you need to click on this button and you'll see a little green thing pop up in the bottom saying, hey, we've emailed it to you. There you go. And go check your email. Check your spam. Sometimes it lands there, but it should be in your inbox. But what's really cool about this is, you get a library, you get a match, and you're like, you know what, I want to give it a shot. I think I want to pitch this music. How do I compose that email though? I've got their email, we give you their email address, we give you their website, but how do I get started with that email pitch? This white text right here, generate email pitch to library. Just click on that, give it about 2-3 seconds. It'll repopulate with a new option that says show email pitch. So basically what just happened is it took all these tags, this track description, everything going on with this Latin track, and it generated an email pitch that basically uses that information. So Latin Hustle is a vibrant Latin track, perfectly encapsulate a chill yet happy and sexy mood. So this is useful if you want to pitch one track. Of course, I would definitely never just take this, copy and paste and send it off. Obviously, you need to put your information in here. And you probably want to adjust this, as you see fit. Maybe making one little additional sentence about some interesting insights you found about this company you're sending to that makes you excited to work with them. Maybe they got a recent placement. That always helps the show. You're not just spamming them. You're not just sending out a bunch of emails to a bunch of companies, but you really have done your research and you really want to work with that particular company. But again, now you got their email, you got their website, and now you've got basically a template to kind of get started with based on the music that you uploaded, even giving you a subject line. It kind of just gets your ball down the road very, very quickly.
Yeah, so that is just another added bonus. Like the value is already there for me from the TagMatch alone, but having that pitch already sent or outlined for you, again, edit, you don't want to say, hey, first name, you make sure you're making the changes in there. And yeah, if any of you, from my experience with having conversations with Jesse over the years, he's really receptive to ideas. So Claudio, I know you mentioned having, sound aware or being aware of that. I don't know about the European market or Germany or other countries. So if you have resources over there, feel free to reach out to Jesse and say, hey, here's a friend at SoundAware that might be interested in having some of those European things involved. An interview, if you guys have resources and girls and gals and whatever you identify as, if you have resources available, like I said, Jesse, from my experience, is really receptive. And if you have suggestions for the app itself, for SyncMatch, you dive in and you say, oh, it would be nice if this, whatever the case is, not saying he will implement it, but he does consider the input, especially if like 50 of us make the same suggestion. There was a question that I missed. Claudio asked again, how often are you planning to update your database, for example, the contact info for a library?
Oh, we do that every single month. So we will occasionally have something, an email address or something be outdated or be wrong. So we do appreciate when if you guys do come across anything like that, just let me know. And it's really helpful because that makes me like, oh, okay, thank you. We didn't catch that one. But we do our best. Obviously, every single month we're getting new data. we're processing the data, we're analyzing it, and so we want to make sure we give you guys as the most up to date. I mean, this app really does work as essentially a living music library directory as well, because there's over, I think, 250 companies that we have with their website and their email address. So it kind of replaced my own directory that I've been offering online for a long time, and it's actually better because it's just more dynamic. It's being updated every single month. So, but that doesn't mean, again, we won't miss something. We might have an outdated website. Companies, if you guys have been in this industry for a little bit, you know that some libraries get bought out from time to time, actually quite a bit. And so sometimes a URL will be dead, or it might be redirected to the company that bought them out, or emails. People swap companies. So, it's the world of business. Things do change, but we're doing our best. We want to make sure that we're trying to keep you guys as up to date on accurate information as possible.
Also, a lot of these companies, or at least some of them that I know of, especially like Extreme Music, Jesse has talked to people at these companies. If you go to SyncMatch Music on YouTube, you can see interviews of Jesse has done over the years with executives, founders in some cases, CEOs of these companies. So these are relationships. So a lot of times you go to their website and the email might be, info@silverproductions.com. But in this app, I'm seeing some names, some actual first, last name, Mark, whoever at Silver, and you're emailing a person and not just info that might go to like an intern. So a lot of these relationships are things that Jesse has built over the years, and their direct connections. Mariama asks, so Jennifer says, I researched the guy today, came up with a lovely pitch email with links to music, then realized I couldn't find his email address. Hoping he accepts my LinkedIn connect request. Yeah, so if he works at one of the companies at these libraries that are in the SyncMatch platform, then you can find the email in there. Mariama asks, do you have access to sync agencies that are placing certain genres or styles, or mainly music libraries?
No, we don't do any sync agencies. And the only reason why, it's not that I don't like sync agencies or I would love to get their data, they're not acting as a publisher. And so when we get these detections, we get these massive spreadsheets of all the music getting placed. The way that we're able to find which library is responsible for each placement is the library is showing up as the label, right? Because they are the publisher. Sync agents are not acting as the label. So usually it's going to be the artist themselves. They have their own publishing company, or it's a label, something like that. So unfortunately, sync agents are not included in this data. I don't know if there will be a way for us to ever add them. I just don't think they're going to be there. What I do want to get some feedback from you guys, I don't know how many of you guys, it sounds like some of you are interested in pitching to supervisors. And I do think there's a way for me to, maybe not easily, but I think there's a way for me to include music supervisor information in terms of not only showing you which production music libraries are matched for your music, but which music supervisors are responsible for the music on the TV shows that have used similar music to yours. So at least it gives you a sense of the hundreds of supervisors that you could potentially research or pitch to, which ones have recently secured placements in your particular genre, and in terms of contact information, it'd have to be publicly available. I'm not giving out, somebody was saying like, hey, how come you're only giving out the it's like submissions at extrememusic.com or whatever we had. I'd expect something better. I'm like, you're not going to get personal emails from me. I'm not sharing CEO personal. That's not coming. Sorry. I'm not going to burn my own bridges in this business. So we can only give you publicly available data. That's all we can basically give you legally. And I think ethically, it's just not right to give people's personal information away. But I'm curious if you guys are interested in that. I mean, that would be something that I would think about adding to the results, that you wouldn't just get library matches, but you'd also get supervisor matches in the way that I described. So
yeah, I think that would be valuable. And going back to the email side of things, there are, I mean, we are creative. So there are creative ways. For me, if there's, let's take Extreme Music. I know we're picking on them because they're a great company. It's sort of not fair because they are partially owned by Hans Zimmer. But let's, for example, let's say you want to reach out to Extreme Music and you don't want to use the info at Extreme Music, that email, whatever the email is. Go to LinkedIn, type in Extreme Music. You can try to find people at companies, try to connect with them. But podcasts, I get so many emails from podcasts because at the end of 90% of these interviews with people from Extreme Music, the host asks, how can people reach out to you? Sometimes, not all the time, but a lot of times they say, just email me at, John Doe at extrememusic.com, and you have that contact for that company. Podcast is a great way to try to connect with people. There's a great platform. If you go to listennotes.com, and you can just type in the name of a person, a music supervisor, and you can find all the podcasts and interviews they've done. Listennotes.com is that bonus resource for you to check out. So there are ways, as creatives, we have to find creative ways to connect with people. I mean, Jesse has done a lot of work for us already, like the stuff that we would have to do half of this information we wouldn't be able to get on our own either way. So to be able to have it all in this one resource is incredible. So let me get to some of these questions. I know we're sort of past time now. So if you have to go, understand. We also want to let Jesse get back to improving this app for us.
I'm good, so I'll
Okay.
hang with you
Okay.
guys. Don't worry about me.
Jennifer Ross asks, have you had much feedback from users on success stories?
Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to show you
Yeah.
one. So speaking of extreme music, they're just going to be the topic of the day. I did have one of our early members. He signed up and he had this little review that he basically emailed me this experience. I uploaded some tracks to SyncMatch, emailed the library, it was extreme music, and they got back to me the very next day. Supervisor forwarded my music to Bleeding Fingers Music. If you guys don't know, that is basically the little sub label that Hans Zimmer is kind of overseeing. It's a label under Extreme, and they offered me a gig to work as a freelancer writing music for briefs. So the app is already a game changer for Ethan. And we've had some other ones. I forgot which one. Kirkland, he also had one that he had submitted to one of the libraries. I don't know if he's gotten accepted yet, but they definitely opened his email. They responded to them and they said, I'm gonna listen to it. And they also asked him for some more music as well. So I think the results are already speaking for themselves in terms of these producers basically finding out exactly which libraries to pitch to and getting accepted by them. Again, I want to make sure you're clear. This app does not guarantee you get accepted by anybody. I don't have any deals with any of these libraries. I'm not like, paying them on the side and saying, hey, accept my members. Like none of that happens. These are independent companies, independent human beings, and they should only be accepting music that they feel is right for their companies, right? You want them to be very competitive and to have high standards for themselves. And you only want to get accepted if you really feel that your music is, able to get placed by their clients, right? That's kind of the only reason why you'd want to get accepted by these companies. So they are completely independent people. They can decide if they want to accept something or not. But we definitely have been seeing some very positive results, and that's sort of the top of the pile there in terms of somebody getting accepted by a very exclusive library. But I think people are just finding that it's just saving them tons of time, giving them some motivation. I think the motivation, the excitement, the eye-opening, like I said, it's just that idea of knowing exactly where to start, because it's, you get into this world. Some of you guys, maybe you're fairly new to it, and it feels like it's just this ocean of endless places you can go. You do many different styles of music. There's many different companies you can go for. And this just kind of narrows it sort of quiets all the noise for me. I think that's really what it's doing for a lot of people, is it's basically just shutting out all the noise, and it's giving you a very clear, limited list of libraries to look at, limited styles of music to really start paying attention to, and giving you specific tracks that you can model your music after. So it's really about, as the world, I don't know if you guys have been noticing, the universe and the world is just getting more and more complicated and noisy and chaotic. It's becoming more and more of a challenge to silence that noise and to kind of just find our purpose and our place and to kind of just keep our head down and start grinding. I think this app can absolutely do that for you guys.
So there are some, and that's just the ones he knows of. I'm sure there's people at this point, over 500 users on the platform. I'm sure there's success stories coming through almost every day that he doesn't know about. So Mike, I just dropped the link. If you missed it, I'll drop it. Where you can check out SyncMatch at the founders rate. So this is a limited discount that Jesse is offering just for those in the communities I have over the next 3 days, I think until Friday. Yep. So if you can dive in and hopefully you all see the value here. Are there any other questions? I do have a question. I think you might have mentioned earlier. Will you dive in on sort of I know you said video games. Is there an avenue to get similar information on the trailer side?
We do actually get trailer placements right now. So with the 20 channels that we are detecting, any music from a production music library with a Spotify link, that's the other caveat as well. It's got it. Because we detect every song that ever gets placed on TV. But right now we're only letting the tracks with Spotify links. Basically, that means that the library themselves release it on Spotify. Because listening to music and getting access to what genre that track is kind of important. I think it's one of the most important parts of the app. In the future, I've definitely gotten some requests for people to say, well, even if you can't get a Spotify link, we'd still like to know the library name, the track name, and where it's getting placed. But right now we do have trailers that are showing up in our data because we have stable live feeds of these 20 channels, meaning that any music that's getting placed, if it's commercial, during a show, promo, a trailer, anything that's going on during those 20 channels, it's basically being picked up. So we have a lot of orchestral music. We have a lot of big orchestral, dramatic trailer music that is on the app. And so if you do that style of music, you can upload it and you will hear and find out exactly similar tracks that have been placed. You can, again, listen to those snippets, listen to the Spotify link, and find out which library supplied it. So trailer music is included here. We're not excluding that at all. The only thing we're excluding is any library music that didn't get released through Spotify.
Actually, I have one of the ones I uploaded, I believe, a sort of trailer. I'll play a snippet of it. It's more epic female vocal. So more popish trailer, but it did detect it as a trailer promo, and pretty high usage, I would say, in this case, and some examples there. So again, another sort of genre, and they're really big in the trailer space. I don't know exactly what it says on me, but
Sesame,
Food
I think.
Network, Sesame, yeah, Food Network. But you're talking 50 plus placements, Extreme Music, Argyle, Video Helper. So there's a lot of opportunities if you want to dive in on that sound. And as Jesse mentioned, it's already on there. I forgot I did upload that a similar style.
Usually,
Yeah.
yeah, usually the model, if there's vocals, female vocals like that, it's going to probably throw it into the pop direction.
Yeah.
One thing that the model is not great at is hybrid. Like, so if you've got hip hop drums and metal guitars, it's not going to say hip hop rock hybrid. We don't have a category for that. It's going to just go, usually if it's hip hop drums, it's going to call it hip hop. Usually if it's rock drums, it'll call it rock. So it is not a perfect, like, it's not as nuanced as you and I would be, as human beings would be. That's, again, one thing we're going to continue to improve upon. But right now, it'll basically do its best to go, all right, based on all the elements and the sound and the vibe and the instruments I'm hearing, I think this is a hip hop track or a pop track. So it's not going to be perfection, but it is going to basically, the idea of how we kind of crafted this is I wanted to at least steer you in a direction of, this is the closest possible thing that's working with what you have going on there. So with vocals like that, it sounds like you had a full song there, Marcus. That's usually what you would hear with a pop tune with female vocals. And so now you can go listen to those tracks and find out, all right, well, if I'm going to go do a lot of female-led pop vocals, what's getting placed in that direction. So it kind of opens up your eyes to that direction. But yeah, there are limitations to this technology. It's not magic. It's not perfect. And it's definitely not a human being sitting there categorizing it every time you guys upload it. It is an auto tagging system that might not get things 100% complete or accurate.
Yeah. Are there any other questions here? And also keep sort of the overall sort of sync things in mind when you're reaching out to these libraries, whether the music you have is available exclusively or not exclusively, some questions they might ask, and you can definitely dive in on Jesse's channel and also in some of his communities to learn more about just sync in general and overall. But are there any other questions about SyncMatch specifically before we call it a day? Thank you all for tuning in also. And please share with your friends in the sync space. To me, like I said, this is probably, I would say probably one of the most, if not the most valuable resources for people in the sync space. And the price is very nominal. As far as tools that are available, I mean, people are subscribing to Disco, they're subscribing to TuneSet. SyncMatch is just another one to add to your arsenal. And yeah, I wish it was here 3 years ago. It's here now. So tell everyone to come on over. Rachel says thank you. Yeah, thank you all for joining. Any last minute questions?
I also want to make sure you guys know it is a 30-day money back guarantee, and it's cancel anytime. So you literally have nothing to lose. Like, just come in, upload a track. If you feel like the results are bunk, it's not really helpful for you, just email me, Jesse, Jesse at syncmymusic.com. Cancel, refund you. I don't want you to stick around if you're not finding it valuable, okay? I only want you to really sign up for this thing and stick with us. If you're like, wow, this is actually helping me stay focused and get some strategy and kind of get some direction and some insights into where I can fit into this business. And it's cancel anytime. There's no long-term commitment to this thing at all. And you guys are, if you do sign up for the link, I put that 72 there because there's 72 hours offering of that, okay? But if you guys do sign up for that, you're locked in. You can keep that link, that rate as long as you want to. Keep your subscription active. Again, no commitment long-term though. But I really want to make sure that you guys are only sticking around if you're finding it valuable and useful. And yes, please do. It's a work in progress, guys. Like, we've made a lot of progress since our beta launch a few months ago. But every week I'm getting new interesting ideas, suggestions, even somebody saying, you know, you guys saw on this channel, on this video, there's some things that aren't always perfect. So, you know, it's my first time launching an app, and so I'm learning so much as we go through it. But you have to basically just keep plugging along, and you guys that do sign up for it are a big part of that. In fact, I'd say most of the killer features you guys saw today came from people like you. They didn't come from me. I just sort of put the idea out there, and then I just kept on asking my community, what do you guys want? What would be useful? I asked people like Marcus in the beta, like, was something broken? Would something make this better? And all of these things that are really saving us tons of time is coming from your guys' brains. Like you guys are the ones really steering the ship in many ways. So I really appreciate you guys in advance for any insights or advice or suggestions you guys can give. Even if you feel like it's totally off, it's totally wrong, please let that's the first person I want to hear from, because I definitely don't want people to feel misled or feel like they're going in the wrong direction using this app. I really want to make sure that it's as accurate as we can possibly get it.
Here's a question, a good question. Claudio asks, sounds like you're putting a lot of time into developing SyncMatch. Do you still find time to pitch your own music? And I would go further and say, do you still create music for Sync, or are you mostly focused on providing valuable resources like this?
It's been a while. It's been a minute since I've made music and pitched it. I did have a little moment last year, a little bit into early this year, where I was doing more collaborations. I kind of started some collaborations, and then this app idea kind of came to me, and I was like, "This is all I'm going to do for the next couple of months." But once this kind of this engine starts rolling by itself and it kind of moves forward, I miss it. I really want to get back into it. No, I really slowed down quite a bit during the pandemic. That was kind of like I had been going at Sync for whatever, I had how many 14 years at that point. I don't know how many years it'd been. But I really had been like, okay, I've done this Sync thing for so many years. I've got it down, and I was really finding myself, my brain loves challenges. And if I start doing something for too many years and I'm not challenged by it anymore, I get bored, I get a little bit irritated, and I just start getting fidgety and I want to go do something else. I'm looking for a new jigsaw puzzle. So right now, my jigsaw puzzle is the SyncMatch app, having conversations with you guys, getting your feedback and doing it. But no, I mean, music is always there. It's always something that I'm still loving. And what's really cool about this is I'm spending a lot more time, probably for the first time in my career, it's kind of embarrassing to admit, but I'm spending the most amount of time now listening to successful production music that I should have done in 2008. And if you guys are new to Sync or fairly new to Sync, you should be spending most of your free time with playlists on Spotify of successful production music tracks in your genre. You should be spending and just eating this stuff up, consuming it day and night, falling asleep to it, get it into your subconscious, get it into your unconscious, so that it just becomes normal and you just start breathing this kind of stuff so you know what really works. But I'm still obviously extremely surrounded by music, but sadly, no, I haven't been making or pitching music of my own lately.
Yeah, yeah. And I know that's the entrepreneur spirit, because sometimes you get ideas like I have to lock in on this for 6 months, a year. You got to focus on nothing but that. Claudio asked, and I think I'm gonna jump in here to answer it, but Claudio asked, if we cancel the subscription and sometime later we hop on the train again, do we still get the founders rate? I will tell you, in my mind, I believe that is a no. So if you want to lock in the founders rate, lock in today. If you decide, I did a month, I got all the resources I need, I'm gonna be busy for the next 6 months, and you jump out, that's fine. But when you come back, just know that if you come back, in December, there might be 30 more channels. There might be Europe, Germany, France, Canada, Latin America, and it might be $50. As you can tell, in 1 month, he's doubled everything, the resources there. Who knows where it'll be if you decide to leave and come back, a couple months later. You can do that, and maybe there'll be some sales here and there, but the price can continue to increase because the resources being added, it's not, I don't even know everything that's in the back end, but I know it doesn't look cheap. It looks like a premium offering, all these resources, the data, the graphs, the channels, the genre, the mood. It does take not just effort, but financial investment. What Jesse said. I could be totally wrong, but.
No, you're right. You're right. Yeah, that's why I put the 72 on that URL. So you guys know it's a 72-hour offer. If you guys want to come on in, great. No worries if you don't have to, if you don't want to. But yeah, it's basically you kind of get in, lock your rate in for as long as you want to keep it. But no, if you do cancel, come back, you will pay whatever the rate is at that time. I don't have that already set in my mind as to where rates will go. I do know right now, you guys are basically getting, I think, $1 off of the premium and $2 off of the pro. If you want that, the basic I think is basic is still the same. Basic is still $9.99. But I don't know what the rates will be. Come November or December. I can almost guarantee, though, they will be higher, because as I keep expanding this data, keep making it useful, and obviously keep seeing the use cases and the success stories and the people really saying, wow, it really is the game changer that we've been looking for in this business. I know that the value of this, I have to kind of prove the value before I can kind of justify raising the prices, because it's still the infancy. We're only doing 20 channels, only US. But yeah, as Marcus says, international, other data, other insights, maybe music supervisors, it starts to become a powerhouse that's undeniable, and it becomes more and more valuable as time goes on. But yeah, if you guys sign up now, you don't have to worry about whatever price it goes up to in the future. You'll just get locked into this sort of founders rate.
Yeah. And I mean, 500 people right now, it's a testament to, and that's just a month of using. And when we say like version one, part one, like every time I see like a new software or something that literally is a game changer, I always think back to, think about, for those that are old enough, PlayStation 1, the graphics on there, where we're like, man, it's not going to get any better than this. And they look like block. It looks like, and it's like, of course it got way better. Or you look at the iPhone 1, which today looks like a toy, but it's like when it came out, it's like, this is the best thing ever. So version one of things, sometimes you got to put it out there and get the feedback and you iterate. And Jesse's done that time and time again in SyncMatch, knowing that where Jesse comes from and the resources he has put out there. This is actually cannibalizing a lot of the other stuff that he had out in the world. As he mentioned, his list of libraries, it's like all in here now.
I tell people not to buy it now. I just, if they want that, I'm like, I would honestly just do SyncMatch at this point, because the directory I updated was from last year, and now we're almost halfway into this year. And it's like, you want modern, up-to-date stuff? SyncMatch is a much better tool for that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's talking about last year, where literally you can have the directory from last month. Any other questions? That was a good question, Claudio. Thank you. Drop them in the chat. If I'm missing something, let me know.
And if you guys, my open invitation for any of you guys that are like, hey, this is a cool tool, but it would be way better if X, Y, or Z, I want to hear from all of you guys. So just email me, Jesse@syncmymusic.com. Again, the music supervisor is like the first thing that I can see myself adding to this, because I do think that artists, bands, some are interested in production music libraries, but not all. And some would go, I don't want to send my music over to a library and have it exclusively tied up with them. But there's no code. You basically just use that link. That link that he gave you at syncmatch.me/72. If you just go to syncmatch.me, you're going to see different prices. That's the public prices. Those are the prices that everybody else is going to have to pay. But that /72 gives you guys a better deal if you want to do that. But I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, yeah, the supervisors, adding that would be really valuable. But I think some of you guys, I'm also really curious, like what other information or what other insights would make you feel like, oh, okay, now I can get my clarity, I get my focus, I know exactly where I need to start targeting my music. Because I don't know, it's been a while since I've been a band or been an artist, and I always think like, if I were, would it be interesting to upload a track to an app and have it say, hey, you got this kind of indie rock sound, looks like you're similar to these artists. These artists have been placed on these TV shows, and those TV shows were handled by these supervisors. Does that give you some indication of promise of like you can fit in somewhere? Is that not that interesting or useful? Like I'm so plugged into the sync producer world that I've really lost touch with the artists and the band. So I really would like to talk to those of you that are identifying more on that artist band side. What you guys want, what you guys think would be valuable for you. So please do reach out. Don't be shy. And I appreciate your guys' time.
Yeah, and for someone for being like a creator, and to like sort of take a break from the creating side of like creating music. It's not like you went to do like real estate or some other like tangent thing that's not related to music. You sort of kept your finger on the pulse, whether it was AI or the trends in sync, and still continuing to provide resources. So it's still coming from a relevant resource. Claudio says it would be handy to see on the library detail info whether that's a good one, whether this is an exclusive or non-exclusive library. I don't think he can share their typical agreement structure with publisher share. That one you'd have to dive in, because that would automatically assume that they would want to sign you, which I will say this, some libraries I know have signed some artists exclusively, some songs exclusively, some songs not exclusive. They have different deals with different artists. So it could be on a case-by-case basis. So that might be a little tricky one, but it could be good to say overall this library does only do exclusive, not exclusive. I think from the ones I remember seeing on here, a lot of them are exclusive. But I could be wrong there.
Yeah, and I can help you out there. It's almost every single one is going to be exclusive. So the world that we're in with production music libraries these days, it's been the case for the last 5-7 years, is they've almost all moved over to exclusivity. So I would say if that's uncomfortable, if that's something you're not looking for, don't think this app would probably be the right fit for you, because you're not going to find many non-exclusive libraries that would even be open to having that conversation. They're just going to give you what their terms are. And when you're saying about their typical agreement when it comes to publisher share, again, 99% of them are going to say they keep the publisher share, you keep the writer share. That's basically what you find in this business, and it's going to be exclusive. Some libraries will tie up your tracks in perpetuity. Some will say, hey, we'll do it for 3 years with a reversion clause. If we don't get a placement, you can take it back. It's, that kind of goes back and forth. But that's sort of the deal in the production music library world. So I like that. I like that clarity there. I've had that request of like, hey, it would be great to know if it's exclusive or non-exclusive. I don't have that data, but in a way, I do because I know how our industry works, and I've had so many conversations with so many libraries, and they're all saying the same thing that non-exclusive library world got them in some trouble, and so most libraries have switched away from that, and they've now just gone to the exclusive business model.
Yeah, which is a good point. I think non-exclusive these days, or at least in my case, or if you can go direct to music supervisor, a lot of times they don't care where they get as long as music is great. But that's more of a relationship building thing, which could be included in this app at some point, at least the names of those people. But yeah, you could use this in tandem with some of those other resources to find those LinkedIn, IMDb, to find those names and resources. But good points, Claudio. Any other questions? Jennifer says very promising and helpful. Yeah, I would say even after this conversation, I would put it up there as probably the most helpful resource for someone in the sync licensing space. That hasn't been, there's no alternative option to having this amount of information. Yes, you can use Disco, but there's also, whether you want to use SoundCloud or Swayzeo, there's these other platforms. There's, TuneSat, BMAT, but as far as all of this information in one app that you can get from another sort of resource, I don't see it. You have to put together 10 different platforms to sort of create this one. Thank you, Jesse, for your time. Hopefully you got something out of this as well.
Lots. Great suggestions, guys. I appreciate it. And yeah, it's always good to know, okay, I still got some work on this thing. I want to make sure I tie up those little issues and errors we saw on the call. So a little embarrassing, but it's okay. It's, again, I give myself a little bit of break. It's the first time doing this, so we fix them all. And I want to say that as well, that like I love it when people bring me issues and problems because we can solve it that way. What really bugs me is when people are like, well, this sucks and I cancel, I'm out of here. It's like, yeah, I want to help it first. You can still cancel. We can still refund you, but let me know what went wrong, because that really would help make sure that we kind of plug up any sort of holes we have in the ship, if there are any. So please do, guys, work with me. Even if you don't want to stay with us, please, that's fine. No pressure or whatever. But please do be just vocal and let me know what you like, what you don't like, what didn't work. And the more I get that, the more powerful and undeniable this data and this app becomes, and useful for all of you guys it becomes. So.
Yeah. And you're talking with literally the creator of the app. It's not like you're talking to an intern or assistant. Nothing wrong with them. Maybe at some point Jesse will get to that point where he has help. But this is all him.
Power control issues. I don't know if that's ever happening.
This is all him. Time that he's putting together for putting this platform together. Simona says, never be embarrassed. It's a learning experience. This seems amazing. Very grateful for the information. Have a great, thank you. That's a great note to end on. If you all do have any questions, you are free to email Jesse at syncmymusic.com. I will have this video up. It'll live somewhere online, whether it's YouTube or definitely in the Facebook group. But the link will not live forever. That link is only available until Friday. Join, take a month, see if you enjoy it, and then lock in on that rate. But if you do leave, to be mindful that if you return, or when you return, it could very well be a different price. That's even much higher than the price is today. So hold on, Claudio. Claudio, you have some great questions. I really think definitely dive into the platform, because I think you're going to provide some great insight to help move this thing forward. Just curious, how many people are on the SyncMatch development team?
You're looking at them. That's it.
One.
So I did this. I'm not doing it alone. I mean, I'm partnering with Cyanite, so they have a whole team of people that develop their technology. I have this app hosting thing called Glide that helps us put this app together. I've got the company that I'm getting the data from, who's monitoring the channels. I'm using a variety of, Google scripts and all kinds of different tools, AI tools, to basically help me categorize this data. But yeah, there is no team here, guys. It is 100% me. And so that's where it's been very challenging, but also really, really cool. Again, my puzzle piece. This has been my jigsaw puzzle to figure out. It seems impossible. It seems way too complex. But maybe there's a way, just a little bit by bit, we can kind of make this happen. And one thing I guess will be my last point is that I thought about this, because I thought, if I make this app, I really kind of cannibalize a lot of my own services, and it's like, should I even do that? And I realized that if I don't do this, if I don't make this app, who else would? Who else would actually go? Because you got to realize that I'm not making an app for like everybody, right? I'm not making Instagram. I'm not making an app that I'm designing for all of humanity. This is a tiny marketplace that could use this app, right? It's just people like you and I. We have home studios. We're interested in sync. And even smaller than that, we're only looking really at production music libraries, or at least a subset of you guys are really interested in some library work. That's not a big ocean of people to basically go market an app to. So it's a small group of people. And then who has the ability the tech skills to build an app? And then who has all the basically real world wisdom and knowledge of sync kind of at their fingertips of like human experience and human creatives and like who could put these two things together? And I didn't have these tech skills. I'm not a tech person, never done any of this before. What unlocked this for me was ChatGPT, was Grok, was me being able to just say, I'm a dummy. I don't know how to do this. Walk me through it as if I'm a complete newbie. I've never built an app. I've never done anything. A, B, C, D, make it extremely simple, like as if I'm a first grader. And that's how I did this. And honestly, every single time I try it, it wouldn't work. I go right back to it. I screenshot it. It's like, well, what you said to do didn't work. Fix it. Oh, okay. I can see that this is the issue. Try this. Doing that thousands of times until you get an app that actually works. So it's an encouragement for you guys to also pick up new technology, new skills. You never know what you can actually build and create. But that's why I did it, because I looked down the road and I was like, I don't think anybody's ever going to do this. Why would they ever want to do this? It's not a big enough market. It's not going to be a big enough play for anybody that wants to get into like some big tech kind of startup environment. They want to make the next Instagram. They want Facebook. They don't want sync licensing for production music libraries. That's such a small potato kind of thing for investors and tech companies, right? So that was one of the main reasons why I did it, is because nobody's coming to help us out, guys. There's really nothing like that that's going to be coming down the pipeline that I can see. So I'm really glad to be a part of that solution for you guys, for those that want to use it.
Let's say someone is interested because someone did create, Disco, TuneSat, Sweezy, all these platforms. Are you open to having conversations with investors or partners that are already in the sync space and the tech space to implement sort of this platform or things like that?
Absolutely. I'm always open to anything mutually beneficial. And if somebody has a vision or more specifically data, that's the first person. Like if you say, I got data that you want, you're at the top of the list. We're talking. Investors, I'm not really looking so much for investors right now because I can self-fund this thing for now. And again, it doesn't make sense for me to basically go, all right, we're going to get every single TV channel and we're going to basically it doesn't make sense to do that until it makes sense to do that, I guess, in a way. So I've been approached by definitely people already of like, hey, I can invest, I can throw you. I'm like, it's not that I need. It's actually certain data from certain types, like, again, Netflix. If you're working at Netflix, somehow see this video and you're interested in working with us, yeah, let's definitely talk. I'd love to do that. But it's got to make sense. It's obviously got to make the app more powerful. But I definitely want to keep it right now. It's going to be focused 100% on sync, 100% on usually production music libraries. But again, the supervisor and maybe branching out into some artists and some kind of band music, that would be the next reasonable place to kind of expand it into.
Definitely. And for you, I would say definitely if you can make it to some of these conferences, that'd be a great way. And I can give you a list of them, but to connect with. The next one I would say in October would be California, the Production Music Conference. A lot of sync libraries, some music supervisors, but the Guild of Music Supervisors is really where you can find those connections. Another great organization, GMS, if you become a friend of the Guild or part of the Guild. And in many cases, you also get contact information for a lot of those music supervisors. But
well, you're the king of networking, man. I'll reach out to you for that.
There's a lot of communities. But yeah, so if anyone watches this video and you have resources, again, Jesse mentioned video game space, music supervisors, the European market. I know we mentioned SoundAware. So thank you for mentioning that. So if you have any of those connections in other spaces, if you see something missing in SyncMatch and you think it would be a great addition, email Jesse directly. Just reach out to him and say, hey, this might be something worth looking into, and he'll check it out. So we will end it there. Any last remarks for everyone watching?
Just thank you guys. Appreciate it. Wish you guys all the best. Keep at it. It's hard. This is a tough business, as you guys know. And nothing comes fast, nothing comes easy. But it is a very, very rewarding business to be a part of, especially when you start seeing those first placements come in. I remember, I think at the bottom of all of this, I really do always try to remind myself of this because living in the world now of data and analytics and AI and stuff like that, really at the bottom of all this, I think, maybe you guys can agree or disagree, but I think it's validation. I think that's what we all want. I think that's what we all crave, especially as creatives, especially as music makers. We all believe in ourselves. you know, to a certain degree, some of us have more confidence than others, but we all think we got something to offer, right? We all believe we got some kind of talent, some kind of cool something to give to the world. And when you get accepted by a library, and more importantly, when you get that placement and you get either a royalty or a sync fee, and you start to see, you know, your pipe getting connected in your world, that feeling of validation that somebody somewhere gave you a stamp of approval that said, "Yep, you provided real value to us. We're going to pay you. We're going to place you. We're going to get you out here. We're going to get you exposure." I really do wish that for all of you guys. That's the honey of what we're doing. That's like the real true value, I think, above and beyond. Getting paid is awesome. We all want to get paid, of course, but that just deep sense of like somebody out there is putting value on my music and really giving me a shot here. That's the best part of this business. So I hope you guys all feel that soon if you haven't all, felt it already. And thanks again for your time.
Yeah. And I just imagine, like, for me, I have a lot of personal goals, like being in the theater and seeing trailer that I compose music for, which hasn't happened yet. But I remember the first time that I got a brief from a trailer company, and the reference in the brief was a track I created. And first thing is like, you know, proud, and it's like, oh man, I feel like, you know, I'm getting there. The second thing was like, why didn't they just use but like, imagine going into this app and, you know, your song is one of the ones listed as a reference in one of these genres and movies and TV shows, or one of the top placed, you know, tracks of the month. It's just other sort of tangent benefits that you can get from really applying this knowledge that we didn't have before. So yes, definitely dive in, everyone. Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate your time. Appreciate everyone for joining in. Those who watched the replay, appreciate you watching in. If you're watching this, I hate saying dates on recordings, but you have until Friday, July 18th, 2025 to use that founder's rate. After that date, unfortunately, you'll have to, or fortunately, you still have the resource available, but you'll have to dive in on the actual rate it is when you decide to dive in. Thank you all for your time. Appreciate you joining in, and we will see you, I guess, in the next video, the next interview. All right, peace.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Marcus. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. All right.
Have a great week.
All right.